Could you take a point off Serena Williams? No tennis experience required. Where do you keep your testicles when you take the car to the garage? And mirror avoidance tactics. All part of navigating midlife one questionable decision at a time. Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Mum, Dad's Got Another Tattoo, the Midlife Crisis podcast. So, here we are. Second episode, Brownie. Any reflections on episode 1?
Well, I think we've doubled as far as I expected us to get, so well done us, first and foremost.
I've got some notes. Don't worry, they're mainly for me. I think I said the word explore 17, 18 times in 30 minutes. It's probably too many. And then maybe a reflection of people being in midlife and our age. I forgot the socials.
Classic schoolboy error. It's all about the social. It's all about the social these days.
So, and we do have social handles. On Instagram, we're at Dad's Got Another Tattoo. At Threads, we're at Dad's Got Another Tattoo. We've got an email, dadsgotanothertattoo@gmail.com. And Blue Sky, we're at Dad's Got Another Tat, because you couldn't have Dad's Got Another Tattoo because there's the character limit was hit, which a little bit annoying, but there we are. We haven't got Twitter because fuck that guy.
Absolutely. Stand with you on that.
Bit of politics in that. But we do want people to get in touch with us, with their stories, with their questions, as we try and build a community. I mean, I don't know whether we can claim much expertise in all of this stuff beyond our own individual experience, but what we can offer, without a doubt, is confident.
Sometimes right, sometimes wrong, always certain, in the words of the great Danny Baker.
Exactly. That is the motto of the middle-aged man. Don't know whether we have to make a disclaimer that all of the medical and dietary advice that we give here is just out the top of our heads, to be polite, and not anything to be relied on. Go and see a doctor. Go and see somebody who does know what they're talking about. And I say that with no knowledge of whether that is a legally robust disclaimer.
Let's be perfectly honest. If you're taking advice from two lads from Essex, then you get what's coming to you.
Yeah, it's your own fault, basically. But that confidence reminds me of, I don't know if you remember, a few years ago, there was a survey of British men who said that they could take a point off Serena Williams.
One of my favourite topics for a long, long time. I mean, it's bizarre.
I had a look at the numbers yesterday to reacquaint myself with that. 12% so 1 in 8 British men think they could definitely take a point off her. And another 14 weren't sure. Over a quarter of all British men think that they could take a point off Serena Williams. Now, there are some other numbers that I looked at to this. Apparently, there are 1.8 million men in Britain who play tennis once a month.
Well, that's not going to get the baby bath, is it? I mean, they're not going to be able to take. I've been to the David Lloyd many years when my dad was playing, and I've seen the clowns that lollop around a court. They're not getting a point. They're not even finishing the set, let alone taking a point off her.
But you're missing something else here. There's another 7 million men who don't play tennis at all.
But they still give it a go.
who think they could take a point off her.
You've got to admire the confidence in, or delusion in your own abilities, really. I mean, what speed must she serve at? Just a serve alone, I think I'd walk off.
Well, I think following the results of that, they put 3 people on court at the same time against Serena Williams, and she served, and they couldn't even get a racket on it.
No, they shouldn't. She's won 23 Grand Slams.
She's the highest paid female sportswoman of all time. I remember talking to someone at my local tennis club about this. Can you believe that? And he replied to me, "Yeah, I can believe that." He was in his 40s as well. "Yeah, I can believe that. I think I could take a point off her." So what? He went, yeah, I could definitely take a point off her. He plays for the second team.
Racket on ball would be an achievement.
Yeah. Do you know what? Even if you said hit the ball with your racket is half a point, I think you'd still struggle.
I can safely say I wouldn't be within 3 yards of any shot that she hit. I'd be getting a racket on. I think the serve would give me PTSD. Coming at me, and I think that would be it. I think no, thank you.
So that's the sort of confidence that we're talking about here in terms of medical advice, the Serena Williams theory of podcast health there. But saying that, I have, hopefully in the coming weeks, we will have people talking on here who do actually know what they're going on about. So we look forward to welcoming them.
Can we? I know it was something we discussed, but it's given me a lot of enjoyment over the last couple of weeks. Can we discuss your car situation?
We can. Partly my fault, of course, but partly not. So I think this all started when somebody asked me about my car, and I said that it was probably the most reliable and best working motor I've ever had. And no sooner had those words left my lips that the problems began. Now, admittedly, one of these problems was of my own making by reversing into someone in a car park with, I would estimate, 250 witnesses to see my ineptitude, but I also broke my rear tail light as well. Replaced that, and, you know, I thought to myself, I'm a man, I take testosterone, I can fix this. Replaced it, and it didn't work, obviously. So I thought, oh, fucking hell. So I had to take it to a garage who examined the electronics, plugged it into the diagnostic machine, had a look at it, changed the fuse, sorted out the connector thing. You know, you can tell I'm a real expert. And after about an hour, they came out and they said, this rear unit you got, yeah, it's got no bulbs in it.
One better than I would have done, because quite frankly, when it comes to stuff like that, I'm so fucking lazy. Right, there's two options. I pay for someone to do it, or it stays as it is. There's no in between. I know I can't do that stuff, and I wouldn't attempt it. I put a door handle on the wrong way round, Mark. The wrong way round. The handle's facing inside.
And when did it occur to you that this was wrong? Like when you...
When Amanda pointed it out, that's on the wrong way. Just as finished. Still brings it up. I think it was about 4 years ago. Still brings it up.
Well, the thing about the car is that my overall approach to car maintenance is that as soon as I hear a noise, I deal with it by turning the radio up. I was in the middle of a 3-point turn outside the school gates, and the thing conked out at drop-off time, so you can imagine how great that was. And then, so I had to call someone out. And now we're talking about, you know, in your daily life, your normal job, you've probably got a degree of competence, one would hope, or at least the illusion of it.
Go with the illusion.
And then, so he turns up, and I cannot tell you the contempt with which this man spoke to me, because I didn't know what an alternator was. He spoke to me like I was a bit of dirt, like you don't know what an alternator is. And I had to suppress the urge to say, well, there's loads of things you don't know, mate. Like, what's the capital of Honduras? What's the effect of rising interest rates on pension funds? Cool stuff like that. The other thing that annoyed me is that the guy told me to drop off the car at 7:30. I actually thought, you know, that's quite early. So I get there at like just before 7:30. He goes, oh, you're here early. That's a good sign, isn't it?
There's one thing about myself, I say, if you give me a time, I'm on time or early. I can't do late.
Yeah, well,
I know you're
well,
not.
I'm not.
I know that. After all these years, I know that.
Yeah, you told me to be here at 7:30. He went, yeah, but the workshop don't open till 8:30. Thanks, mate.
Did you have to sit there?
Yeah. Well, what else could I do? 2 hours later, they came out and said, it's not starting. Okay, what are you telling me for? This sounds more like a you problem than a me problem. If I knew how to sort this out, I wouldn't be here, would I?
If only there was someone around here that could fix that problem. Mind you saying that,
Yeah.
Luckily, my mechanic, he understands my knowledge of cars and what I do to it. It must have been bad. I drove it, couldn't hear an issue. Monday morning, I'm taking the little one to school, and there was this ungodly noise coming from my brakes. Right, I mean, it was horrific. You see people in the street looking. I thought, well, I've got to get this in. They were so worn. My brakes were so worn and knackered the disc. He had to cut them off. He looked. I went in there and he kept them and went, look at that. I'm just no good of it. I'm no good of anything.
Well, that's the other thing where with the nodding is that had I been presented with that. That bad, is it?
Yeah.
I've got no idea. I've got no idea.
No. So that is, so hopefully this week, cars all fine.
That will teach me to praise mechanical inanimate objects, because the universe has got a funny way of smacking you in the mouth. Another thing that came out of the last episode that I recall is that talking about the generation of adults that live beneath us, and we're just not in their generation anymore, and that's something that we come to terms with. And over Christmas there was a real great example of this. Now, this introduction will probably date me as well, but I went to Christmas drinks wearing a Guns N' Roses Christmas jumper. It's got the classic skulls arranged in the cross formation, but all black, but they're wearing Santa hats as well, and the arms are... this is something we could put on the social, where the arms are like Buddy the Elf's stocking. So I go to the bar to buy my round, and the girl serving the drinks behind the bar said, "Oh, you like Guns N' Roses as well? What a cool band!" And for a moment, there was this fleeting thought that we would have this lovely interaction about our experience of Guns N' Roses, about how when Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 came out on the same day, it was one of the most exciting moments. But then I realised she wasn't thinking about that. She was probably born in 2003. She wasn't talking about a band in the 80s and 90s that was the soundtrack to her life. She was talking about a cool retro band that she had discovered.
Have you seen, when they were released, have you seen the other albums that were released the same month?
Hey, Jamie, get it up. Get it up. So in 44 days in 1991, the following albums were released: Metallica 1, Pearl Jam 10, Guns N' Roses Use Your Illusion 1, Guns N' Roses Use Your Illusion 2, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Blood Sugar Sex Magic, Soundgarden, Motorfinger, and Nirvana Nevermind. Well, I think on the 45th day, every kid in my school bought himself a guitar. This is the Midlife Crisis podcast, and I can tell you the very moment all this started for me. I could probably date it exactly, and I'll post a picture on Insta of me looking like a big fat bastard on a beach somewhere. And that is the thing that really kicked all this off. And we were looking at holidays. We hadn't been away for a couple of years. Previous to that, we would have just your stereotypical round the pool holiday. What materialised is that post-COVID, the prices that you had to pay to go anywhere are, to me, like holiday of a lifetime sort of prices, but just to sit around the pool in Tenerife for a couple of weeks. And we decided to go to Thailand and do a sort of version of travelling. I'll say a version of travelling, like there was no backpacks involved. It was made very clear very early on that this was going to be a suitcase holiday. It wouldn't be traipsing around with those athletic sandal things on.
Insights, planning where you're going, but go from hotel to hotel as much as you can do with a child in tow.
Exactly. And so I was really looking forward to that. And of course, in the 2 weeks leading up to it, I've got my swim shorts out and looked at myself in the mirror and thought, oh, fucked it again. And I left it too late. But who cares? Because in those other holidays, you were normally around the pool with other people with similar lifestyles, similar jobs, similar responsibilities, similar age children. I mean, that's why you're there, right? And they all look like they've fucked it as well again. And a bit of safety in numbers, you always feel that a little less comfortable, and you start to enjoy yourself. And there's always one bloke round the pool letting the side down, being all fit and everything. But fuck that guy as well. And so it was with this sort of heavy heart and stomach that I go to, that I fly to the Gulf of Thailand. But all the time I was there, I was conscious of two things. Number one, I was about 15 stone at this point. And when I left university like 25 years ago, I don't think I was even 10 stone. So 2 of that was necessary. 3 of that completely unnecessary. The other thing that I was aware of was how much I stood out, because of course you're travelling around with other travellers who tend to be young and fit and in shape in the most part. And then I kept on bumping into these other parents, these other fathers, typically French or Italians. They had 4 kids. They had like similar jobs and lifestyles. I'll tell you what they didn't have similar: physiques. They were ripped.
Didn't have a big old derby.
No, none of that. They were in tip-top shape. And then there was this one picture on the beach. If you head to our Instagram, you'll be able to see it. That was the moment. You often think to yourself, when I get back, I'm going to sort this out. And then you don't. And then the cycle begins again. This time, whatever it was, whatever kicked it all off was in that moment. And I decided to do something about that. And over the course of the last 18 months, I've been doing stuff about it. Quite frustratingly, despite all the measures that I've done and all the lifestyle changes, I still don't think I look as good as somebody should. But, you know, maybe that is social media and all that sort of stuff.
You look at all you look at all the famous people getting ready for films and stuff like that. It's a full-time job, what they have to do. And it's all, it can be achieved, but how much time have you got to put to get to that level? That's the thing.
Sitting on your ass is not going to do it. That's for certain. And you do have to make a conscious decision. I was also I changed jobs again after 5 years at the end of that as well. And I had this notice period of 3 months where, you know, I was going into work, but I was pretty much soft pedaling the whole time. And part of that, and killing enough time in the day, was going to the gym for at lunchtime, maybe for an hour and a half, 2 hours. Not that I was working out for that. I was just, you know, taking my time and that. But what that did do was install a habit, a good habit for once in my whole life of doing that. Because I've never really liked going to the gym. I've always found it very, completely pointless. That, you know, one more rep. Well, if not, what? You know, there was no sort of short-term deadline. In comparison to, say, playing sport, like we talked about tennis earlier, like if that's a good way to get fit, because, you know, you're running after a ball, there's a point to lose. All right, you're not playing at Wimbledon or whatever, but, you know, you're competitive in that moment, and that can help you push beyond, you know, where you're tired, or which I always felt at the gym, that you get to a point, it starts to hurt a bit, and there's no real incentive, short-term incentive, to keep going. Well, I got over that hump. After about 6 or 7 months of this, I thought to myself, I should be in better shape. And on the front of a magazine, I think it was Jeremy Clarkson, had lost a load of weight using Ozempic. And that's when I thought, I wonder how much Ozempic is, because it was advertised as the celebrity weight loss drug. And I'm not going to spend $2,000 a month on injecting myself in this thing. But when I looked into it, it was, I think, relatively affordable from the start. You know, you start off about £100 a month, which I guarantee you will be making savings elsewhere in food, in
alcohol,
and booze as well. Yeah, stop drinking so much. I mean, drinking was never really a problem, but other than it was interrupting my sleep all the time. So rather than, and I'm not talking about hangover-inducing amounts, I'm talking about a glass of wine, I'd go to bed, wouldn't be able to sleep very properly, I'd wake up, feel hot, and so that had to go, and that has improved my quality of sleep and quality of life pretty drastically.
You know, it is a big change to make, and the fact that you've done it, you did that really well, and you doing that sort of put me on my path as well. Speaking to you about, you know, see what you were doing, and it came at a time where it all synced up, when I come to a realization that where I got to and how much weight I put on couldn't continue for health wise, and, you know, affecting your quality of life. And really, you doing that had a knock on with my whole process.
So how did you come to it though? Was it just like, I've done it and then...
No, I mean, I used to train 4 or 5 days a week. I played a lot of sport at a relatively good level, and I had a purpose to train. But all the years, whether it was football or American football was the greatest incentive, because if you didn't train, the bloke opposite you was going to knock shit out of you for 3 hours. So it's an easy incentive to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and go to the gym when you know Sunday morning someone's going to be trying to bash your head in. So it was quite easy. But that was what, then I was getting to my very late 30s, gave all that up, and I lost the complete motivation to go to the gym. No motivation, because I always had something to train for. And then it's a domino effect from there. You're still eating at the same level, and then your metabolism is not what it was, and it all snowballed, and I piled on a hell of a lot of weight. Again, I will post my most hated picture of me to the socials. One of our great friends told me I had a head like a fucking beach ball.
It's always a nice compliment that acts as a motivational tool.
This was after the weight loss journey started, and And I realised we've got a mirror in our bathroom, and I looked at it and I realised that for about 18 months, I'd subconsciously, whenever I got out of the shower, would make sure I never looked at the mirror, and I'd never looked in any mirrors in the house. And even Amanda said to me, we were just discussing this as a topic for the podcast, and she said, you used to get changed in the dark as well. And I never really thought about that. And then I just decided, you started that journey. And I thought, well, I've done it before, and I know I can be disciplined with it. So let's do it again. Do it again. And yeah, it's been great. I still don't get to the gym as much as I should. But that's, you know, running my own business. It can consume a lot of my time. So I've got to get that side of it better. But eating better, everything like that. And to be perfectly honest, Manjaro was a complete game changer on that journey.
Well, that sounds like a great topic for maybe the next episode, Richard. Do you fancy we'll dig down into the Ozempic, Manjaro, GLP-1 agonist?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, so let's wrap it up there. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Next episode, as we've said, we'll be talking about Manjaro, Ozempic, Wegovy, and other GLP-1 agonists and
sweet jabs.
All the things that we got up to when we were doing that. So look out for that next episode of Mum, Dad's Got Another Tattoo. See you soon.